Thank you. My name is Jan Lund. I'm from the Food and Bio Cluster in Denmark. We're a national cluster, so we do not have many teaching and academic resources. So we are actually building bridges between business, companies, and educational parts and research. So we actually much more like a bridge builder. So we have a different approach to the centers. I try to do this presentation very short because of the time, of course, and many of these things, the missions, the visions, and the activities that were planning, it's actually very much like you've seen from some of the other partners. So we focused the presentation on presenting our way through the project. How did we go through this what is called the iterative process of making a biobank? So now it's not, one moment, it's not, yeah. So I just go right to the 7 steps taken into the project. So this is aside doing the project itself, we tried all the way through to do this realistic, and from the very beginning tell our stakeholders we actually want to do this. At the same time as we're developing this in the project, we try to actually develop the center itself, so it would be realistic to do a center when the biobank project ends. So that's actually what we did from the very beginning. So we had the first stakeholder interviews in November 22, and the first workshop in April 22, where we were starting to look into the vision and doing the first inputs for the business model canvas as well. We had 14 participants, and we actually we thought in the beginning we have to look into the university, the local university, and where we're working, and some what's called vocational colleges for agricultural training, but we invited but very local stakeholders. So for workshop 2, we actually thought that we have to do this much bigger. We do have to have some new base stakeholders into this to develop this even further. And we had then also have some more colleges for agricultural training, and some other types of companies involved, as well as the region. We're working very much in the region of the central part of Denmark, and that was the local stakeholders we took in at that time. Actually, I wasn't personally part of that that time. I was involved since January 23. So January 23, we had this third workshop. No, I have to say the second workshop there was actually developed a business model canvas from that workshop, and on workshop 3 we went into discussions on how can we do this. What do we actually have to do in these sites? Training politicians, training primary school, and having discussing what levels do we have to do this. And we were starting to discuss the governance, the activities, and the financial models. How could this actually be running? After that, we actually decided to take some key stakeholders into this, and that was mostly some public stakeholders, some universities, some other educational institutions. We went on a road trip to visit these people, to find out what is their actual look into this. How do they see the business model into this? How could this actually fit into their business? How would they be interested in getting into this path? And that was we learned very much from that, and we took that to when we met in Tralee. We were getting even more, learned even more, and then to start July we had this and kind of implementation workshop, a roundtable, where we were discussing this, and in that place, this local focus, it was changing, because suddenly some national interests came up. There were some other regions of Denmark that actually, some other universities actually contacting us, say, can we be part of this? They will actually want to be part of what we the model we described. So we were discussing on common marketing, common development of course, and sharing customer segments between and even across Denmark. Denmark is a very little country. You said earlier Ireland is little. Denmark is even smaller, but we do have these regions, and there are some competition between these regions as well. As part of this this workshop, we actually were making a memorandum of understanding between all these stakeholders, and all these stakeholders actually were signing this, but in August. They were all signing this, and all we being willing to go into this kind of cooperation to fulfill the possibilities in the bioeconomy. And that means we actually make a proposal for the Novo Nordisk private foundation, and we actually sent that in last week for applying for 700,000 euros for making a project for actually establishing the biobank in food and biogas. So the center would be like an office running the center, having lots of stakeholders helping to put content into these courses. So that was the 7 steps. I go on to the next, the challenges we saw and the risk we see in the Danish biobank. So during the formulation, we had lots of problems developing the governance cooperation structure, because everyone wants to go into to sit into having the decision. So we had problems in finding a good way for governance, but we actually, as the letter of memorandum, it actually explains how to do this. How can we have a steering committee? What can you expect from the center? We had also some discussions on what activities should actually be made, because is it a need to have, or is it nice to have? If it's need to have, they would be willing to pay for this. And this is still we're still running a model where we should have payment for doing the courses. It's the project we actually were seeking funding to, it's not like for making free courses. It's actually for developing the center, developing courses, but the participants have to pay some in some way. So that's actually still a problem. And then establishing a realistic budget, of course, that's we do not know exactly how much will be in that, and that's why we need a project to go on for the next steps. So recommendation, we had a process of involving stakeholders all the time. Some stakeholders were with us from the first workshop to the last one, but there were some new coming in all the time. And it was really good to have a common formulation coming out from the last workshop, where we actually got a common understanding and signing what we understand, what we want to do in common. So that's a very central recommendation. And the risk today, it's actual financing. We do have a model. We do have very much. We have the first project. What's called? We look to the Novo Nordisk fund to get the financing. We do not know yet if we get it, but still this will be the problem. So that was all.